Praise the Lord. Ave Maria. So finally we've come to the end of our grilling series of 12 episodes, rediscovering joy and living joy every day of our life. Today we're going to cover what I think is the bedrock of all the 9 rules that I've shared with you. And hence we'll take it in 2 parts, the part 1 and part 2, which will be released tomorrow. You would have heard the phrase frame of mind. Your frame of mind isn't what you're thinking. Your frame of mind is where your thinking comes from. It's the headspace where your thoughts happen. Most of us approach life without taking ownership of our frame of mind. By default, we let our circumstances or passing mood frame our thinking rather than what we want to have the frame it. Most powerful, joy-inducing frame your mind can have is to form by your faith. Faith isn't only a religious practice. Faith is the way you see everything. It's how you answer life's big questions. It's the frame that shapes your big picture for your life. If that frame is fundamentally bad, good times are just a distraction. If the frame is a cause for your joy, your life can be joyful even when it's difficult. Let's dive into exactly how to do that, or rather, how to allow God's grace to do that in you. Your mind has a frame that you see everything through. You are usually not aware that it's there. But like it or not, it impacts how you experience everything. The frame makes the picture. How? If your teen is in an angry state of mind, he'll process your request to do the dishes far differently if he feels loved and happy. Frame of mind doesn't just determine what we think, but how we think. In other words, your frame of mind, shaped by the beliefs you often don't know you have or aren't paying attention to, feelings you didn't choose, and the gut level responses you are not aware of, have a powerful part in shaping what you think are purely logical conclusions. We all approach everyday life with a frame of mind. While the wrong frame of mind doesn't usually lead to our deaths, it does often stop us from really living. When St. Paul wrote, "Be transformed by the renewal of your mind," Romans 12:2, he wasn't just exhorting you to learn your faith. He was exhorting you to change your frame of mind. That's what faith does, or it is supposed to do for us. Faith is meant to be your frame of mind. It puts a frame on life that on one hand focuses on your vision and on the other hand opens you up for all the reality more fully. You don't just stare at the frame. You look through it at everything else. The Bible is like that. We are not just meant to see the book, but rather everything through it. God, purpose, joy, pain, life and death. Faith answers our fundamental questions of what's the purpose of life, if we are loved or lovable, whether we are a cosmic accident or really matter at all. What happens when we die? And those answers frame every other thought and experiences that enter our consciousness. When faith plays that mighty of a role in our lives, we begin to experience what it means to be a new creation. 2 Corinthians 5:17. Living life to the full. John 10:10. We begin to experience the joy that Jesus promised when He said that He has come to share the very joy of the Trinity with us. John 15:11. A joy that nothing can take away. John 16:22. Sadly, most people don't get there. Religion remains just a part of the big picture. Their mental framing, their worldview is built by something else. That's why they have faith but not joy. They have a faith that teaches them the God of the universe died for them and they are on a train to glory. But it's just a nice story they believe in, not the story of their lives. Saints are the people who let the faith frame their minds, shaping their hearts on a deep, even subconscious level. Amazingly, what Saint Paul wrote about joy and how to have the right frame of mind, keeping a great attitude and living with gratitude, was written from a prison while awaiting execution. It's thought that the city sewage ran by his cell in Rome. Picture him sitting there, not only in the chains, but in the stench and writing, "Rejoice in the Lord. I say, rejoice." Philippians 4:4. His miserable circumstances didn't frame his mind. He lived with a constant awareness of the presence of something bigger than his passing circumstances. In every one of his prison letters, he introduced himself in a noble term: Paul, a prisoner of Jesus Christ. Note that he doesn't say Paul, a prisoner of Rome. That's because, as big as the Roman Empire was then, there was something even bigger to frame it. We all go through life with an awareness of something bigger that frames our mind. It's how we see life itself. Do you see life as a tragedy? Maybe a disease taught you to see everything that way. Do you see life as a struggle? Maybe deprivation taught you that. Do you see life as a trial? Maybe a conditional love taught you that. Do you see it as an opportunity? Maybe your parents' great work ethics taught you that. Do you see it as a party? Maybe too many 80s movie taught you that. Do you see it as a bit of all the above? There's a better frame of life than all that. I went to Malvani as a part of my social work, and I met a man I will never forget. His name was Robert. Robert had been in an accident that left him mostly paralyzed from the neck down, though he had enough nerves hanging alive to feel some pain. His village had hated him because he was a gangster, so they left him to literally rot. When I approached his house, he never leaves, which was smaller than my bedroom, I didn't know what to expect, and what I saw shocked me. A smile, not just any smile, the most beaming smile I have ever seen in my life. I don't smile as big as Robert when I'm struggling with this lockdown. I, who had come to help him, was quickly humbled in the presence of this giant soul. His little hut in this remote place suddenly felt like the cathedral towering over me. I cared for Robert's bed sores. I thanked God for his faith. I felt so connected to the man that I kissed his forehead like he was my brother. How do you keep your spirits so high? And he said, I think of other things. What other things? What distraction could possibly be larger than this dire circumstance? The answer was painting over his bed an image of Jesus and Mary on his ceiling that he looked at all day. And Robert didn't just spend most of his time staring at it. He saw his life through it. Robert is a saint. and saints have a joy that can't be conquered. Robert was like St. Paul, who wrote beautiful phrases like, "In all these things we are more than conquerors." Romans 8:37. Nothing makes us happier than love. And Christian faith reveals that the right frame for all of life, every interaction and everything that happens to us is love. The love that has the power to take up every tattered pages of your life and make it a part of a love story, framing all existence in something far more abundant than all that we ask or think, is only found in faith, and more specifically in Christian faith. Of course, we who are in Christ and die just like everyone else, and most of the pages of life look the same at the glance. But if you step back, you will see a different picture. A new cover binds all the pages together. It's a love story. And because of that, we have joy. I can say this without apology. Faith in Jesus Christ offers the best possible framing for your life ever proposed by anyone. In fact, for all the bad press the church has earned in recent years, and for all the failings of his followers, it's still the case that nothing even comes close to the message of Jesus Christ when it comes to a joy-inducing, lifting way to experience your own existence. An atheist worldview can't offer what Jesus does. A godless frame of mind is totally empty. An atheist worldview is a string of events without a story. If there is no author, there is no story. If there is no God, then any meaning you find in life is meaning you made up, which is make-believe, which isn't real. If there is no God, you are no more than a lucky lump of self-aware molecules that emerge from the universe and shouldn't be there or someday won't. A vaguely spiritual worldview can't give you what Jesus can either. People who claim to be spiritual but not religious have traded in the image of a personal, loving God for an force. Maybe it's because a vague force has no demand on us and enables us to stay our own little gods. They mistake vague for profound. I hate to break it to you, but nature don't care for you. Just ask coronavirus. Faith in wrong God can't bring you what Jesus can either. A vision of God who doesn't really love me and who didn't enter my world to suffer for me and with me is a cold religion in the end. While I respect all faiths, I can't imagine God being anything less than the love that would enter his human mess with me. Only the one who is love can turn all of life into a love story, and a good one. That's why only he can give you the joy you are looking for. In the words of Pope Benedict XVI, the happiness you are seeking, the happiness you have, has a name and face. It is Jesus of Nazareth. For this reason, Rule 9 is the rule for a joyful life that lasts when all other fades. It's a light when all other lights go out. And when you can't control the other rules of joyful life, which you won't always be able to, especially when you approach your deathbed someday. It's only this rule that will make you stronger in your heart. When you can't engage your body for joy because it fails you, you can make your body an offering to the Lord. When you can't achieve any balance because you have no idea what tomorrow will bring, you know that the Lord has a plan for your life, be it long or short. When you can't think of what to give thanks for, you can thank God for loving you. Framing your mind in the faith is the unconquerable source of joy. Saint Paul had joy as he approached his death because his mind was framed by a high beauty beyond death's reach. Robert had a joy as he laid in his bed, unable to move because his thinking wasn't framed by the reality of his paralysis, but by the reality of his freedom as a beloved child of God. A truly redeemed soul is redeemed from everything, redeemed by joy and the hope of the gospel. Everything from gratitude to silence to rest to engaging your body to friendship, it all takes on a fuller dimension when it's framed in the worldview of the gospel.